In the last video, we talked about how to name branched alkanes. This is the first real example of more complex IUPAC naming. The first two functional groups we will cover follow very similar rules as we learned in the last video. The priorities shift away from hydrocarbons, and sometimes we need to tweak which parent chain we use. First, I want to show how naming of alkyl halides works. The halogens on an alkyl halide are treated as substituents, with a fluorine called fluoro, chlorine called chloro, bromine called bromo, and iodine called iodo. Compared to other hydrocarbon substituents, the halogen substituents take priority. In this example, the parent chain is the flat chain pentane. The fluorine from the left side and the methyl from the right side both compete for the number 2 position on pentane. However, since halogens take priority, we would number the pentane from left to right. Therefore, the molecule is 2-fluoro-4-methylpentane. However, if giving a halogen substituent a higher number allows for overall lower numbering, we don't give the alkyl halide priority. For example, giving the fluorine priority would generate the numbers 4 and 5 for fluorine and methyl respectively. But numbering from right to left would generate the numbers 4 and 3 for fluorine and methyl. Therefore, we need to think about the overall molecule numbering and number the parent chain from right to left. The molecule's name would be 4-fluoro-3-methylheptane. Let's move on to alcohols. They're slightly different from alkyl halides. First, they take major priority over any other functional group we'll learn in this semester, including halides. Only the other oxygen-containing functional groups we'll talk about later beat alcohols. Second, we don't have a suffix name for alcohols. The alcohol gets fused into the parent chain name. For example, here we have a straight chain 5-carbon alcohol. The parent chain is pentane, but we have a hydroxyl on the first position. The name would therefore be 1-pentanol. Notice that we put the number in front of the parent chain and change the suffix to -ol. If the hydroxyl stood in the second position, the name would become 2-pentanol. These two names can also be written as pentan 1-ol and pentan 2-ol. Don't start panicking if you see alcohols and future functional groups written this way. Let me show you a more complicated example. I want you to try to locate the parent chain in this molecule. Take a second to try. Most students at first would choose the horizontal 8-carbon chain as the parent chain. However, you must remember that the hydroxyl group must be on the actual parent chain. Therefore, you'd actually choose the shorter 7-carbon chain from left and down as the parent chain. I never mentioned this before, so consider this more like a trick question. We need to number from bottom to top since we need to give the hydroxyl priority. We end up with a propyl substituent on the number 3 carbon, and the name is 3-propyl-1-heptanol, or 3-propyl-heptan 1-ol. Try the worksheet linked below to practice all the concepts in IUPAC naming that we've learned so far. In the next video, we'll review and learn how to name simple and complex cyclic molecules.